I'm Felicity Curran. I'm the founder of Little Kitchen Academy. We're a Montessori-based cooking school for children ages 3 through 18. I'd like to introduce you to our progressive knife set, the first of its kind progressive knife set. And we've built it because we recognize parents that maybe are interested in sharing culinary expertise with their children or just simply wanting to invite them into their kitchen. We need a system and how to safely introduce children to knives. We've had 90,000 children visit our Little Kitchen Academy schools across North America, and we've developed this extremely precise and supportive practice that we want to share with you. So the Little Kitchen Academy knife roll, it comes with 5 different knives, and we're going to take you through each knife. And before we do that, what I want to remind parents is when we're teaching a child how to use a knife, children can do it. Children can absolutely use all of these knives safely. It's a matter of understanding where their developmental skills and abilities are in order to progress them. The first thing we want to remember is we don't want to rush them. Children will be so happy, even as young as 3 or even 2, with a really careful environment, just chopping, just being part of the kitchen, part of the work with the caregiver. So when we're presenting our work with the children, we want to have a very prepared, safe environment, free from distractions, free from other toys and other things that are going on. And we want to have a really calm demeanor ourselves, because accidents do happen, but we also can show a child that things can happen and we can recover from them. So when we're starting with knife skills, we want to remind our children that we put both feet firmly on the ground, and we want to lean our bodies into the counter. That sounds odd, but the idea is if somebody walks by and knocks you, you have so many different ways to wiggle and move at this point, but if you're leaning, there aren't as many ways and you're just a little bit safer. The other thing we want to consider is having no distractions on our arms. Our sleeves are rolled up and we're ready to go. We always wash our hands before we start cooking with food. Something at Little Kitchen we use is a silicone mat. The silicone mat is beautiful, and instead of using it in a cookie tray at Little Kitchen, we actually use it to anchor our cutting board. And we can show our children that the cutting board doesn't move when it's sitting on a silicone mat. If any of us have 6 to 8-year-olds at this point, it's inevitable. They will show you how they can move it everywhere else, and they will love the idea that it's glued to the counter right here. If you don't have a silicone mat at home, a damp towel will absolutely do the job. So we put our silicone mat down, our anchor or our glue, we put the cutting board on top, and then we're gonna talk about how we handle a knife. And I'm gonna take you through each level of our knife, but every single knife is going to be held the same way. And when I present this to you, I'm left-handed, so it may look a little different. Maybe you turn it and watch me in the mirror if you're right-handed, but the steps are exactly the same. So let's start with the toddler knife, the knife that we would recommend for children that are just brand new into the kitchen, that are still working on their gross and fine motor skills. You have to remember, toddlers, their muscles aren't even formed yet. They're still working on these things. And at Little Kitchen, we're teaching children how to use a knife, but we're actually also helping them learn how to develop their will, to have them understand that I need to think and tell my body to grip. These are incredible life skills that start way before 3, but we get them at 3 at Little Kitchen. So we're gonna incorporate that into our learning here. So when we're presenting a knife, the knife will go in front of the cutting board, away from the child, and the blade pointing away. That's very important because we get very excited about holding our knives, and while the wooden chopper isn't going to cut us, we want to create that rote memory. So when we're holding a knife at Little Kitchen, we teach the children to use the last 3 fingers and wrap it around the handle. You see that? We actually have designed the beautiful logo, our bird, so we pinch the blade. This is interesting because as we learn how to use silverware, many of us form this habit of putting our finger straight along the spine. And while that will certainly do the job, it creates a little bit of wiggle room in that knife. And we really want to be in control of this blade as much as possible. So remember, we're standing firmly on the ground, our hips are touching the counter, we've got the knife in this beautiful safe grip, and then we love to show the children dramatically putting it down like this, and most of them will scream, no, 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 because we remind everybody there's no recipes in Little Kitchen that have fingers in them. So we turn our fingers like this, and we form this claw, an animal claw, a bear claw. Children love to come up with different animals or different ways to describe this claw. And then at this point, what we do is we teach that chopping motion. And what's happening is the blade of the knife is running down our knuckle, and we're not gonna cut our fingers. And we want to do this really slowly, really carefully, until we become masters at it. And what does mastery mean? Mastery means I don't have to remind you to hold it properly. Mastery means we remember to always put it back in the same spot. Mastery means, hey, can you cut that banana to be the size of corn consistently? Creating these achievable goals within this work will continue to invite this child to do this work over and over again, and we know that repetition is going to create mastery. This is usually recommended for 3 to 5-year-olds, our first class, or until we have some really strong control of our body. Something that is really interesting at Little Kitchen, when do we move up? When do we move? When do we recognize, or how do we recognize the child is ready for the next level? And again, that's really when we stop reminding them of all the safety protocols, and we see that they've been able to really refine their skill within that level of knife. And something so beautiful at Little Kitchen is we don't actually celebrate or make a big deal about leveling up a child. We simply go by, we put the new knife down, and we just create a little bit of a connection. I've seen you, here it is, and we walk away. And the child pumps up, they feel so strong, feel so confident, feel so seen, and they start working with the next knife. This is a proprietary knife. We designed it ourselves after watching 85,000 children come by and give us extremely strong feedback. And it's actually really subtle, number 2 right at the bottom here. It's this gorgeous bright red. And again, if we remember, we've worked with the level 1 knife now, and we have this rote memory. So a child will probably naturally put their last 3 fingers around the handle and pinch the blade. We want to remind our children again that while this is going to get the job done, it's very, very wiggly at this point. So we pinch the bird. There's a bird on both sides for us lefties and us righties. And this is a really interesting blade here. The tip of it is actually quite dull. And it's dull because in this developmental stage of children, we're still not understanding that the knife actually can do all the work. We're still using our physical brute force, and we're still pushing down. As we get into a sharper blade, we recognize that the knife is going to do the work, or the blade itself will do the work. But right now, our little minds are still going, no, I'm going to use my muscles and my strength for it. So it's fairly dull because, God forbid, we haven't remembered the claw. We can protect ourselves. And then the first, maybe quarter to a third of this blade is serrated. And the serration is really to help capture the food. So if you can imagine cutting a tomato or a piece of cucumber, it can get quite slippery at times. That serration is actually going to bite in a little, and we're going to be able to hold that cucumber in place while we continue to refine our strength in that grip. So we're holding the cucumber and we're chopping like this. And again, we put our knife back in that safety position and we move on to the next step. Something that's really important to remember and something to introduce at the level 2, even the level 1 knife and beyond, is when we're chopping and food gets stuck on the blade, instead of picking it off, we push down. We push the food off by pushing down. And again, the more we practice this, the more it becomes rote and it's ingrained in us. And we have to remember these knife skills are skills for life. So the level 3 knife, again, when we find that our child is ready for a level 3, and you're probably going to be asked by your children often, it's right in front of them. They're so excited, of course they want to try it. So as a parent, our challenge, and at Little Kitchen, our challenge is to create more work within the level you're in. How do we refine it? How do we make this basic work more challenging? And that might be using new terms, chiffonade, chop, dice, brunoise. All of these different types of words and different styles of cutting might re-engage a child in a knife that they feel they're ready to progress from. But we really want to take this slow, again, building that rote memory. So the level 3 knife is, again, it's beautiful, very subtle level 3. The blade now is very similar, same rounded tip, but now it's sharp. and it's sharp enough to cut your skin and make a significant cut. That's important to share. We don't want to hide the problem or the potential problems with knife safety. The children need to know this is what could happen, and they are so respectful when they understand what their limits are. Something else to remember as a parent or a caregiver, children feel so empowered when you show them that you believe in them and that you know they can do it. So again, this is now rote memory. We have this memory, and we grip the last 3 fingers of our hand around the handle, and we pinch the blade. Again, saying goodbye to the little bird on both sides. We pinch the blade like this. So we'll put the hand down in claw position, the tip down, and again, when we're slicing, the blade is running down our knuckle, and I love to share with children that I can look at their beautiful eyes all day long and not worry about cutting myself because I'm in a really protective stance here. So our level 4 knife right here, now the blade is getting longer, it's a sharper tip, and it's extremely impressive to look at. When our level 4 knives come out at Little Kitchen, all we hear is ooh, and they love to see it. The level 4 again has that subtle number 4 on the bottom, and we remember we've got this beautiful natural grip now. It's built into us. This is the only way we're ever gonna hold a knife again if we've practiced long enough. And again, so now we can start to really refine how we slice into it, and we start to recognize this knife is actually doing the work for us. The blade is actually doing the work. We don't have to use a lot of our brute strength. And the tip goes down with this beautiful rocking motion, running that blade again along our knuckles, keeping our fingertips safe. The most impressive knife ever. Everybody wants to see this chef's knife, and children love it when we tell them this could cut your finger clean off, no problem. They think that's just unbelievable. Again, it's got the number 5 at the bottom here, and we grip it. It's almost natural now. You know, there's an argument, I wouldn't recommend it, and we don't do it at Little Kitchen, but I would wonder that if we have a child who's working with that wooden chopper 2 or 3 years and has this grip, I suspect we could slide this chef's knife right in and they'd be completely prepared to use it. Now, it's the same grip, that beautiful point, and we're slicing, rolling along our knuckles. We remind our children or our families at this point to wipe down if food gets stuck, and our knife always goes into that safety position, blade away when we're finished. Something else to remember with knives is we don't want to put them in the sink. When we're finished with them, we wash them right away and we put them away. Can you imagine if you put dirty knives in the sink and then somebody else came by and put something else there? All of a sudden, you've got a sink full of dishes, you reach your hands in, you're in a bit of trouble there. So we want to make sure we take care of our knives right away. So there you go, that's the Little Kitchen Academy progressive knife set. We hope that it invites lots of memories, lots of laughter, lots of safety, and increases food literacy in your kitchen.